I have a very special guest today. It is none other than our Certified Biddy Tarot Advisor, Mariia Snebjørk Damkjær. And just in case I've not said that very well, Mariia, would you love to just share your name in your voice?
You said it perfectly, almost. Mariia Snebjørk Damkjær.
Beautiful. We had to do a few practice goes of that, but we finally got there, which is wonderful. So before we jump into our interview, I just want to introduce you to Mariia, because Mariia is doing some absolutely amazing things in her country of Denmark. So Mariia is based in Copenhagen in Denmark, and she is a Certified Biddy Tarot Advisor. She's a writer, a wordwitch, an occult nerd, event organizer, multi-creative designer, and of course, an intuitive entrepreneur. And Mariia is the co-founder and host of the Copenhagen Occult Club, and she's organizing monthly witchy events and tarot workshops. She's also authored the guidebook for the Earth Magic Tarot and co-created the Enigma 23 Lucha Libre tarot deck, and has a third tarot deck in production right now, which we're going to hear about in today's interview. So Mariia, it's so good to see you doing so many like really amazing things in your, I don't really want to say local community. Like Copenhagen is an amazing place to be having such an impact with tarot. But let's roll back the clock a little bit and tell me about how your journey with tarot began.
Hi, Bridget. Yeah, well, it initially started like maybe 22 years ago when I was in Hawaii traveling as a young girl, and I had a broken heart. And well, there was this girl who advised me to go to a tarot reader. And I didn't quite know what it was, but I agreed because I was really heartbroken. And I went there, and I don't remember any of the cards or anything, but I just remember that this woman really put me at ease. And I was still sad when I left, but I felt so much better. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then a few years later, I had like a big existential crisis. And my then boyfriend, now husband, he gifted me with a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. And that's kind of where it started. So I had this deck for many, many years. And every time I had a crisis or girlfriend had a broken heart or something, we would pull out the cards and the little guidebook and get our advices and, calm our nerves and all that with the tarot. And then we fast forward many years, and we're in the COVID lockdown. And I kind of had like a spiritual awakening. It's a long story, but and then my cards started calling me in a completely new way, and I just took it seriously, and I started studying all the way, all throughout lockdown. I was studying the tarot, and I joined your tarot school, and everything just went from there.
Fantastic. I'd love to know, like, as you started reading tarot, like for yourself and for friends, were you more focused on just intuitively reading the cards, or did you start to learn more about the meanings? I'm curious where you sat in that spectrum.
For many years, it was more like, well, we were using the guidebook, but it was also like, what's the vibe of the card? Does this look scary, or does it look negative or positive or friendly? Or, it wasn't that deep, but there wasn't that many resources to get it from in the early years, because the internet was just like, well, what the internet was like 20 plus years ago. So I just had it's called the Tarot ABC, like a Danish book on tarot. That was kind of what I was learning from in the beginning.
Yeah. And then what made you change your mind and pursue it on a more serious level?
But it was definitely a calling. Like it was something that I decided on. It was something that was decided for me from somewhere else. I don't know. It was just I heard a calling from the great unknown, and I answered.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yes. And so when you enrolled yourself in the certification program, what was kind of your dream? What was your goal? What were you hoping to achieve by being part of the certification program?
Well, I had already taken one of the sort of the beginners classes with you, and I just really liked the vibe and the way that you kind of taught me how to use spreads. I would only use like the classic spreads before, and I just really liked the approach. And I kept getting these messages both from the cards and from different outer worldly sources that I should work with the tarot in a serious manner. And I was already enrolled in your tarot school, so I just kept going until I've
Right.
taken every course in there.
Yes, yes. So it sounds like it felt like a really natural progression for you to continue that journey. And, something that I hear a lot from our students is that really strong calling. Just as you said, it's not necessarily that you decide, but it's almost decided for you. And then you cannot ignore this strong pull towards pursuing, your tarot career and your tarot path with even more vigor. So it's wonderful that you said yes to that call and you fully embraced it. I'm curious, what were some of the biggest breakthroughs that you had as you were learning more about tarot and deepening your tarot practice? What really changed for you?
Well, it was mm, it was the path in front of me that the cards would show me, and how easy it was to actually interpret it when I was reading it to myself. It was so easy to understand the message, even though I didn't know much in the beginning. I just knew some really, how to say, I just knew the very basics when I started, but it was so easy to like interpret it in with my own intuition and my own heart and my own mind. And it just felt like really natural to me when I first got started, and I first started taking it seriously. It and
Mm.
put away the book. It was just it just came very natural to me.
Yes, yeah. And so then by the end of the program, what was possible for you? What started to evolve or emerge or happen for you as you became a certified Biddy Tarot advisor?
I actually forgot to finish the course for a very, very long time, because my journey just took off on its own. And then I got like an email saying that I hadn't been active for I don't know, a year or more, and I completely forgot to finish the course because I started my business, and I started just well, everything just took off. So I had to finish the course and before time was up. But yeah, I was already moving moving further before I was even done.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
that
So tell
makes
me about
sense.
what does life look like now with, I know that you're doing tarot workshops, you're leading this occult club. Tell me a bit about what life looks like now as a tarot reader.
Well, it's kind of funny because it started as a tarot business, but now it turned out to so much more. It's also involving like more occult designs than just the tarot decks. Like I'm doing like spell kits and travel altars, and I've done exhibition at an art museum. I've done pop-up shops and a hotel, and and I'm still doing like tarot events and face-to-face readings. But I had to close down the PDF readings on my website because I just don't have time anymore.
Mhm.
So it evolved into a greater beast than I ever imagined.
Yeah. And how does that feel, knowing that it blossomed even further than you realized?
It feels amazing because I'm kind of living the dream, and even though I'm not quite sure what the dream is, it just feels right. And I always like been a designer at heart, and I always been like like really happy about speaking and, creating community and all that. And now tarot kind of gave me the umbrella where I can put all my interest and all my skills and all my talents under one umbrella, that is tarot. So it kind of gathered all the things I've been doing all my life that I didn't know what to use it for, all my creative training and all my hobbies and everything. It just combined into like this world of tarot. It's
Yeah. And so I imagine that that would feel like very whole and integrated, when all parts of yourself can come in as one and then be able to use that whole part, whole self to then channel the work that you're doing. That must feel really great. So you've created the occult club in Copenhagen. Tell me a little bit about that, and then I'd also love to hear, like, what does tarot even look like in Denmark? What's the culture around tarot?
Well, the Copenhagen Occult Club started it's almost 2 years ago now, and we had 16 events plus a few more. But yeah, and it actually started because I was looking for community myself. I was looking for like-minded occult nerds, tarot readers, wonderful weirdos. I was just looking for somebody else like me. And all I could find in Copenhagen was these really, really expensive weekend retreats where there would be like some expert telling you how things were. And I was like, that's not really my vibe. I want to figure it out myself, but I want to do it in the company of other kindred spirits. And I just couldn't find anyone. And to be spiritual in Denmark is still a bit of a private thing. So I would try to stalk people on Instagram, like if they had liked something from Biddy Tarot or whatever. I would go to their profiles, see, could this be my friend? But they will all be like private profiles. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I was actually quite sad about it. And I remember I went to bed and I just had a dream that I made a club. And the next morning I woke up and I just told my husband, I'm going to make my own club. And we were sitting in the kitchen eating, and there was like a post-it notepad, and I just wrote on it, Copenhagen Club. And then I called my friend who has the venue where we always have it, and he asked me many times, do you have a good idea for anything we could do? There's never anything on Sundays. Do you have an idea? And I just called him and said, I have an idea now. And that was the start. And I just booked the venue, and I'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. And
how many members do you... Oh, sorry, keep interrupting. You go ahead.
Okay, because you were saying about tarot in Denmark, and it's actually quite like a private thing to be spiritual, but we gather like a crowd of between 20 or 40 people every month who come and pay to take part of the occult club. And we have different themes, and then usually involves something about tarot in some sort of way, or something about witchcraft, or yeah. So the people are there. They just need like a safe space to go.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic that you're providing that safe space. And I think really inspiring that it's come from a place of you wanting to be able to connect with, like-minded people, and then discovering that there's, like 20 to 40 people who are very similar to you. And I think that must just feel really rewarding to know that you can create that space and then offer that gift to others as well. Yeah. And where do you think that tarot is becoming more normalized in Denmark? Like, if you were to project yourself out another 5-10 years, do you think it's on the same path like in America? I think it's becoming a lot more normalized. You can see tarot decks in all kinds of stores. What's happening in Denmark and the trends there?
Well, Denmark is a very, very small country, and traditionally we never talk about religion or spirituality. I think there are like 2 or 3 shops in Copenhagen where you can buy tarot deck, and stuff like that. Or maybe you can buy a tarot deck in like a game shop or something. But it's not really a big thing. And in regards to becoming like America, I think that's never going to happen, because we are very, in Denmark, there are three things we don't talk about. We don't talk about our private finances. We don't talk about who we would vote for, and we don't talk about religion. And it's opening up. It's opening up, but it's just so ingrained in who we are. It's just like a private matter. Like you would never sit at work and discuss who you're voting for. You would never do that. And the religion and spirituality is even more so. So I don't think we're gonna see neon signs with tarot reading on the street corners anytime soon.
Yes.
But it's opening up, and I'm hoping that I'm playing like a teeny tiny part in becoming more open, because I just share all my private readings on Instagram. It's all authentic, real readings I do for myself that I share, and I just try to be open. And yeah, there's nothing to be private about, really, in my opinion, but it's just the way we are.
Yeah. And I suppose it's out of respect for everyone's own unique path and diversities, so that everyone can be free to be who they are without judgment and so on. Would that be a fair assessment?
It's that, but it's also like, because it's no one's business. And
I see.
And we don't want to like polarize ourselves from each other. Because as soon as you know who people vote for, then you'll respect them less.
Yes.
If you knew who your boss was voting for, then you probably wouldn't respect him if he was in the different end of the spectrum than you. Or if you knew that they were part of some religion that you found ridiculous, then you would stop respecting them, and then you wouldn't have the neutral ground to meet on anymore.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably both what you're saying, but I think it's also just like a thing of not embarrassing anyone, or not like destroying the neutral ground we meet on. Sort of.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes. So I'd love to switch gears a little bit and hear about your tarot deck that you are creating. Do you want to give me a little bit of an overview of it, where it's come from, what it is, and who it's here to serve?
Yeah. Well, the name Darkest Day, and it's my husband, who's a graphic designer, who has designed all the cards. And I will be writing, and I have started, but it's still a long way. It's not going to be a guidebook. It's going to be more like a workbook. So every card will get like exercises you can do. Like it could be a ritual, it could be a spell, it could be a tarot spread, it could be write a poem. Every 78 card has their own exercise. It's going to be a lot about color magic also. It's a very colorful deck, even though it's called Darkest Day. It's very, very colorful. It's it's like Danish people. We always wear black, but we're actually quite colorful on the inside. So but it came. I really wanted to do something, and I really wanted to do something with my husband too. We've been together for 21 years, and we've done a lot of creative projects together, but it's always been like house renovation or something like that. So we wanted to do like a passion project together, and that turned out to be a tarot deck.
Yeah. And how did that go? I'm always curious, because I mean, in some ways I work with my husband. He works in the business, but I've actually made sure that we have quite a separation so that we can maintain a healthy marriage. But I'm curious, how did it go for you as you were designing the deck together, working on it?
Well, it's the same. We have it's very clear who's doing what, and like he is the designer, he's doing this, and sometimes we can have discussions about a certain card, but he has the last word, even though he's not a tarot reader, because he is like the creative. But then I can maybe say that it would be really good if we had some blue color in this card, or I don't like this thing, or can we put a little whatever on this card. But he is like, he's the creative director in that sense, and I have to respect that.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the book. Like he doesn't have that much to say about the book, but
Yeah.
he's gonna do. But we have to agree on the layout and of the book and all that. But like with every other project we ever done together, it's very good that we have clear assignments for each of us. So we don't sit on each other's laps. So we know what to do and we know what not to do.
Yes, that makes sense. And tell me, so like Dark as Day, but it's a colorful deck. What's inspired this deck, or how would you describe it? Like, I know it's often hard to kind of describe the visuals, but is it like rainbows and unicorns? Is it something a little bit more darker and deeper? Like, where does it sit?
It's a very modern deck. There are some of the cards that hold something traditional that we know, but most of the cards are very modern, and it's a very edgy kind of style. Well, some of the cards have people with green skin or blue skin, but it's modern, but you don't see any cell phones or computers or anything. But it's just like a modern, timeless sort of universe. So there are no real knights like in armor and stuff, but there are people on horses. So it's kind of like a non-time, like a non-specific time, and the style is very graphic and very modern.
Yeah, fantastic. And what would you say, like what kinds of readings or situations would the deck be perfect for?
It would be very good for like personal divination, I would say.
Mm.
I always think that's the most, even though I'm a tarot reader and I read to others, I really think that reading cards to yourself is the most powerful way to use the tarot. Not to do it like once a month, but do it on a regular basis to have it part of your spiritual practice. It's the most rewarding thing, like to read to yourself. So that would probably also, because the book is a workbook, so you have to work with each card to get it under your skin. But you could also use it to read to others, but it's mainly to creating your own tarot practice. Yeah, going within yourself.
Yes, it sounds like that, particularly with the workbook and having such beautiful activities and rituals and so on. How are you going to publish it? Are you self-publishing? Are you doing Kickstarter? What's your timeline for this deck?
Oh, you're asking hard questions. Well, the timeline is very, very hard to say. We have most of the cards ready, but I am a bit behind on the book because there was 2 other decks and a museum collab and so on that kind of came in the middle of me writing the book. So I'm a bit behind, but the plan is to put it on Kickstarter within, well, hopefully before summer.
Yeah, so sort of June, July of this year, yeah?
Something like that. Yeah. That's the plan. But
Yeah.
I was offered some really extraordinary collabs, so I couldn't really say no. So
Yeah, fantastic. And are you just going to print it locally, or have you started thinking about how you create, like manufacturing the deck?
we have thought about it, and we were actually, when we first started out, we were of course, we're going to print it in Denmark or at least in the EU, and it's just going to be hell of expensive. It's just going to be so expensive that people won't buy it. So I think we're going to go to one of the super professional printers in China who does like all the Las Vegas decks and all that. They're like experts down there.
Yes.
And in Denmark and in the EU, there are not really any experts. There are some who make playing cards, but none who makes like tarot cards. And
Yeah.
since we are beginners, it would feel more comfortable to be with somebody who does it every day. So I think we're gonna go with a Chinese producer.
Yes, just even from our own experience of self-publishing our Biddy Tarot deck, it's funny actually because the first round of printing that we did, I think we were with a group of people who were used to doing playing cards in, a little sort of box that you ultimately would throw away. And I was just like, oh, you do not get what a tarot deck is. A tarot deck is very different to just some cards in a box. And so we finally found a manufacturing company that they just really understood how to create tarot decks and the quality that's expected, and then could do it at such a competitive price. It's like, it's so hard to match that it's more like local Western countries. It's just not really possible.
Yeah.
And as you say, like, even if you do print locally, then you've got to pass on those costs into customers, and maybe that means that your deck doesn't reach as many people in that way. So I think it is a blessing that we have that opportunity to reach to China, to have, decks manufactured in a really high quality but cost effective way, for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is a shame. It could be so cool to say made in Denmark, but if the deck is going to cost like 5 times as much, and it's going to be like this special limited edition artsy product that nobody can afford buying, what's the point?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And I'm curious, because I know many of our listeners have probably dreamed of creating a tarot deck, or maybe they're even in the process of starting one. Now that you've moved through this process, what would be your advice about getting started or bringing that dream into reality?
Well, on the 2 previous decks, I've been so fortunate to work with like artists who's very experienced artists who has been like dealing with all the illustrations and all. And I've been, well, on the Earth Magic with Daniel Martin Diaz, I wrote the book, and I kind of like guided him towards some of his illustrations. But I think the main thing when you're starting out, it's like try to make a system from the beginning, because I've saw that with Daniel and my collab, that he just started completely randomly, and then he put a system in quite early, and that was really good, because if he hadn't put the system in, we would have drowned.
Yeah.
Because it's 78 cards, 78 illustrations, and he did them all by hand. So it would have been very chaotic if he hadn't made the system really early on. And we used that in The Darkest Day too, that we made the system not from the beginning. I don't know why you always think you can just start and see how
Yeah.
it goes, because you need the
The
system.
creative spirit.
You need a system, like where you can see like an overview of the card, maybe with some keywords, maybe with some, just a system, because there are many cards that are very easy. Everybody wants to, I want to make the death card, I want to make the devil, I want to make they're all the cards everybody wants to make, and then there are 50 more cards that no one wants to make. But all cards should be equally important. So when you have a system, it's better, because then you can see, and you can kind of be a bit more, what's the word, cohesive maybe. So you can say like all the wands will have like something in common, that you
Yeah.
can see like the red thread and all that, instead of when it's just randomly, then you kind of miss an opportunity to tell the story from 1 to 10 also. There's also a good story to tell there. I'm not sure I have succeeded with that story in any of them, but yeah, that's a good advice anyway.
Yes. Actually, we did that with the Biddy Tarot deck. We were very intentional about color before we
Mhm.
started working on the design. So for us, it was that the major arcana would use our full color palette, and then each suit would have a more restricted color palette for each. So you could sort of see the themes. And I do think that looking at it from a holistic perspective can create a deck that has more of those themes and tie-ins, rather than
Yeah.
just individual card by card. I can totally see the temptation to really start with those cards that are kind of cool, but then you're left with
Yeah.
all the annoying cards at the end, and your motivation's probably starting to drop. I would probably prefer to have, like, knowing that there's a cool card like right near the end, something to motivate to get to that point. But yes, that's great advice to really put in place systems. Tell me about can people see the Darkest Day Tarot being created now? Like, do you share it on your Instagram? Is it on your website? I'd love to hear like where people can find out more about it.
Well, we made an Instagram profile, Darkest Day _tarot. And in there's a link for the website as well. it's on my normal website, and I created a sub-site in there especially for it, where you can read about us, you can read about the project, and we will be beginning to share more about it, as we progress. But we made quite a few reels on Instagram, and it's you can definitely get a feel and a vibe of the deck with what we shared already. But there will be more.
Yeah, fantastic. And Mariia, where can people find out more about you and the work that you do, and even the Copenhagen Occult Club as well?
Well, Instagram is kind of like my kind of space. Apparently it turned out that way before I had my spiritual awakening. I wasn't much on Instagram, but you can find me. My Instagram handle is YouLuckyDevil_tarot. And then there's the Copenhagen Occult Club. It's just, and everything links back to my website, lobstermoontarot.com. You can find the whole shebang in there.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Mariia, I'm so proud of, what you've been creating and being a trailblazer too in Denmark. I think it's fantastic. And my wish for you is that it continues to grow and you continue to create that safe haven for others who have probably felt like you in the past of feeling isolated, and now they have this safe place that they can come to and share their passion for all things occult, including tarot, of course. Yeah. So a big thank you for sharing your story today. I really do appreciate it. And make sure you check out Mariia's Darkest Day Tarot on Instagram, and then YouLuckyDevil_tarot on Instagram as well. Sounds amazing. So thank you so much, Mariia.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Beautiful. Hey, if you loved this video, then make sure you check out this next video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.